let's talk about speakers, speaker stands, and headphones. Now in our last video we talked about DJ controllers, and I did go a little high-end with the DJ controller. But this DJ101 series isn't about going after the premium gear and finding the best thing on the market. It's a series about starting a DJ company from scratch, and part of that is getting good equipment at a good price to maximize your return on investment. Now there's reasons why I went into picking out a higher end controller, and that was explained in that video, so I won't go into that today. But with speakers, you don't need to go super high end. And now some of you might, if you've been watching some of my review videos, you'll know I've been reviewing a lot of column array systems. And those seem to be the popular speaker systems today, especially in the wedding market. They're nice, clean, sleek looking, but because they're new, there's not very many of them out there, they come at a premium. And paying a premium for aesthetics is not what this video series is about. And there are some benefits to a column array, wider dispersion, better projection, but really you're paying a premium for the look of the speaker and a little bit different performance aspect to it. But for this video we're going to stick with a point source system, primarily because of the scalability. Column arrays are a system where you buy the system and it kind of is what it is. There's not really much for scalability built into it. Where with a point source system, later on you can add a subwoofer, you can add another subwoofer. If you need to swap out your tops, you keep your subwoofers, you get higher end tops. It's more configurable. So the speaker system I'm going to recommend is the Electro-Voice ZLX12P. Now they do make a BT version of that, which adds Bluetooth. But as of recording this video, that version is $50 more. And if you've watched any of my other videos, in a professional setting, I do not recommend using Bluetooth. Mostly because if you get 150 people in a room, all with cell phones and their Bluetooth turned on, you're going to run into connectivity issues. So it's just not a good idea in a professional setting to use Bluetooth. Home use, backyard parties, go ahead and use Bluetooth. Professional setting, no. So save the money, $50 a speaker, $100 a pair, save that $100, get the standard version. Now, if you're watching this a year after I've recorded this video, I don't know if the BT version is eventually going to replace the just standard powered version. As of recording this, both are still on the market. It could be that they're just working through inventory of the old version, and the BT version is what's going to be for sale for the foreseeable future. But right now, $399 for the non-Bluetooth, $449 for the Bluetooth. Actually, Sweetwater has $50 off right now on the non-Bluetooth, so that's $349, which is even better, $700 a pair, extra $100 for the covers. It's a good speaker. I used to have 12 of them in inventory. I liked them. The only downside is there's bolts that hold the handles on, and when you get those and you take them out of the box, grab an Allen wrench and tighten those. Maybe even take them out, put some Loctite on them, screw them back in. If you don't need to take the handles out for the mounting hardware to mount it to a wall, those bolts can kind of be a pain in the butt. I don't know if bass vibrates the screws loose or traveling in the vehicle, but when I had 12 of them, I probably had 3 of them that I had ended up losing multiple bolts on, and I had one that I lost the bolts just to even put the handle on. So one negative on that speaker is the bolts that hold the handles on. Loctite them, tighten them up, and check them regularly. Once every couple months, just make sure they're tight. Otherwise you might wind up losing them at some point when you're setting up. The other thing that, I've sold a bunch of these to other people too, and one common complaint about them is that they're just not loud enough. They're rated for 126 dB. The speakers we use now are rated at 131 dB, and we just started doing bigger shows. We needed louder floor monitors, so I needed to upgrade to something else. But starting out, 126 dB should be good enough for you know, pretty much any wedding dance, any bar dance. You know, unless you're hard of hearing or, you know, you're in a really loud environment, you know, you shouldn't be running these into the limiters every gig. 126 should be just fine to start out with. And, you know, down the road, when you're making some money, you know, you can always upgrade to something else, get maybe a second speaker system that's dual 15s and is a lot louder for bigger events. But for now, 126 decibels should be just fine for anything up to 150 people. Speaker stand wise, oh, I should mention on the speakers too, it's got 2 XLR ins and it does have an aux in, so perfect backup solution if it came down to, you know, your mixer going down for some reason. This is what I talked about with the Pioneer controller. It's a built-in backup system. If your computer goes down, you've got your SD cards in there, or I mean your thumb drives in there, and you can use the computer or the controller as your music system and your mixer. Now, if the mixer goes down, headphone to headphone right into the speaker, plug your microphone into the XLR in, and use the link out to the other speaker, and that's your other backup system. So there's a little mini mixer in the back of the speaker. And most speakers do have that, but a few don't. Like our DAS Audio Action 12As have 1 XLR in and that's it. So in a backup situation, what we have to do is headphone to XLR into one, and if we have to use a mic, we have to plug the mic into the other speaker and use mic for one and music for the other one. Oh, and if we're not talking on the mic, we can unplug the mic and link out into the other one for music. But kind of a weird backup situation. Obviously, that's you know, when all else fails situation. We've never had a mixer go down at a gig, but your system needs to be built out so if there's a point of failure somewhere in the chain, it doesn't kill your gig. And that's the point I'm trying to make with getting the Pioneer controller, you know, having your laptop, having this speaker, and then that's just also going with powered speakers. If one speaker goes down, say your amp blows, you've still got your other speaker. There's built-in redundancy in the chain of equipment. So that's kind of how we're building this out. Redundancy so we don't have to double up on gear, so we're saving money there. But, you know, any point of failure in the chain, we can still make the gig happen. Now, as far as speaker stands go, the OnStage SSP 7950. That's been the main speaker stand I've been buying for probably the last 8 years. It's you get 2 speaker stands and a nice padded case to carry them around in for what looks like $99. B&H has them for $99, Amazon has them for $99, but I'm pretty sure MAP pricing, which is minimum advertised price, is $130.95. So I don't know if you're gonna always be able to find them for $99 because I'm pretty sure the retailers that have them for $99 are in violation of MAP pricing policy. So buy them now if you can. But they're nice speaker stands. They're not super cheap, but they're not super high end. When you go to set them up, you know, the knobs are fairly, I mean, they're plastic compression with a knob and just a bolt. But if you twist them too tight, you're gonna strip the bolt. You can buy new bolts for them, but just be cautious. You know, when it's a speaker stand and you spread out the legs, twist them so they're, you know, just nicely hand tight, and that's fine. You don't gotta be Superman, you don't gotta crank it and strip out your bolt on your first gig. And that goes for the top too. You know, you lift up the thing, put the pin in, drop it down, that pin's taking all the weight, just hand tighten the knob. Don't go crazy on it and wrench on it. You know, I rent out so many speaker stands and I have so many knobs that get stripped out because people think they just need to take them and just crank them as hard as they possibly can. These speaker stands will last you forever as long as you treat them nicely. As far as headphones go, so the reason I'm throwing headphones into this video too is with this whole system, and a set of headphones, you can set this up at home and start practicing, start mixing, and headphones are crucial to that, so I wanted to add them to this video. And these are the headphones I personally use. I always recommend the over-the-ear ones, not on-ear. On-ear headphones, at least for me, always irritate my ears if I'm wearing them too long and they're pushing my ears down. Just over time, just kind of irritates them. Plus, I don't think you get a lot of sound isolation with on-the-ear ones. With over-the-ear, usually you get a little bit of cancellation if it's a loud room. The cup over your ear will help cancel out some of the other noise. But what I recommend is the AKG K167. Now, what I use, and you might still be able to find this on Amazon, there's a Tiesto branded version. That's what I have, and I think you can find that for around $54 because I don't think Tiesto, I don't think they use the Tiesto brand on them anymore. So now they're just selling them as an AKG K167, which looks like they're about $79. Pretty sure they're the exact same headphone, they just don't have the Tiesto logo. Instead they say AKG on them. Try to find the Tiesto version if you can. Not because it's cool and it's endorsed by Tiesto, it's just $20 cheaper. Save some money where you can. XLRs, obviously, you will need those. I'm going to put a link down in the description as to the type of cable that I use. Really, you can go with any XLR cable. I've started using Cable Up's industrial cable. I think the model number is Mic-XX-30, and I do recommend getting 30-foot XLR cables. When I started out, I bought 20-foot cables. And 20-foot is fine for standard setups. But if you're in a weird room, somehow you need to set up a speaker a little bit further away, if you only have 20-foot cables, you're going to kind of run into some issues. So I've found, at first I jumped up to 25, but then I still found those to be just a little short for some of the rooms I would set up in. So I bumped it up to 30. And really, when you look at the Cable Up cables, the price difference between a 20-foot and a 30-foot is not much different. So go with the 30-foot, that way you're covered for, anytime you might need to spread the speakers out a little bit extra. But I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And also the description will have the pricing list, links of everything we've talked to up to this point in the video series. We'll keep adding it up, tallying it up. And I'm going to try to keep the price point of this whole setup under $5,000. I've got an idea of the equipment I want for every section in here. I haven't fully added it together. I'm hoping it stays under $5,000. As I said in the previous video, I started my company with a $2,500 investment, and that was over 10 years ago. The equipment's gotten better, and I have a little bit better idea of what to buy now because I've made a lot of mistakes in the past. And I think with a $5,000 investment, you're on a good path to starting a DJ company. And once we get through the equipment, we'll start talking about marketing, a little bit more on the guerrilla marketing end, things that are cheap, things that have a good return on investment, and we'll get you gigs to start out with. But until next time, I haven't decided what the next video is going to be about yet. We'll either start to get into lighting or microphones. And really, I think those are about the last things that we need to get our DJ company rolling here. So thanks for taking the time to watch this video. It's part of my DJ101 series, How to Start a Profitable DJ Company from Scratch. Till next time, see you then.